Okay. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. We'll get the team updates. Yeah, thank you all for joining. Good evening, good afternoon. So you have done great work till date. So we'll see how everyone worked and what are the work progress from each team. So then let's start from team one. Yes, go ahead, team one.
Yes, my screen visible.
Yes.
Okay. Great. This is not a PPT. This is a memo, you can say. So we'll walk you through what we have decided, what is our like a plan, and what we are trying to build here. So first of all, we have collected, or we are going to collect the data from the Reddit, because the Reddit is a platform where everybody express themselves without any like their identity is anonymized, so they express themselves freely here. So that's why the reason that we have selected the Reddit, and we are going to only use the Reddit's data to train our model, not to train our model, to fine tune it uh, for our task. So uh, now here the reason is as I gave the Reddit, and which user we are targeting? We are targeting the user who are concerned about the mental health, and uh, you know are the Reddit user. So the user who has a Reddit history, they will be the one who will have post and comment history. So what we'll do is that we will scrape the Reddit's history for that user, and based on that history, we'll try to predict if the user is going through any mental health or not. And for that, we are going to use the sentiment analysis. Then we will use a topic modeling. What are the uh, themes around the user history? Let's say user is mostly talking about the depression, anxiety. So topic modeling will give us the idea what are the topics discussed mostly, or mostly prevalent in the user history. And based on that, we'll get the idea what are the major topics, right, discussed. And after that, we'll ask LLM to ask the questions based on those topics, and based on those topics, we'll try to get the idea whether the whatever topics we have covered in the chat, in the user history, uh, are also aligned with the questions asked by the chatbot. Let's say chatbot asks 5 questions, and answer to those 5 questions by user, it will be evaluated, and we'll try to check that if the user history, topic modeling answers, and the evaluated answers evaluated from the chat bot messages are also aligned. So we'll get the idea that so we'll have two confirmations that okay, uh, yes, that user is right now going through this, or might not be going through this. So now again, here I would like to add that user history from the Reddit. Let's say a user was discussing about the depression and anxiety 5 months ago, and the recent history doesn't show any sign of distress. Then it means that user either has recovered from that mental health issue, or maybe in the recovering phase. So what we can do is that we can use the LLM to ask questions in very subtle way. Well, those questions will be like the questions those are asked by the psychology experts, where we go to the psychologist. I know psychologist wants to know what did you do in the past, and so they are trying to get our history. So it's very similar here, that Reddit history will work in a similar way, where we give our history verbally to the psychologist. So based on that, we'll uh, yeah, based on that, we'll just try to ask the question very subtle way that okay, user, we want to be very gentle to asking questions that okay, user is still going through that. If user is still going through those mental issues, then we would recommend the remedies, that what are the some of the recommendations that we can provide are, let's say user is in pre-stage or early stage of the mental health issue, then we can recommend some exercises, meditation, or breathing exercises. Or and there is another category where the user is in the critical zone. If the user is in critical zone, then we will recommend to go to the any mental health expert, psychologist first, and then if it doesn't work, then they can go to the psychiatrist. So this is what we have. This is what our plan is. So there are now two concerns, that there is a privacy concern that comes. Then a lot of our team members also suggested. So what? Uh, so now for the privacy concern part. So when you go to the psychologist, you tell your history to the psychologist by trusting the psychologist. So here the chatbot is like your psychologist who is trying to determine your mental health status. So you have to give the history, Reddit history, and you have to give the credentials to scrape to be able to scrape the your Reddit history. So so we have to trust on this platform, that okay, if somebody is concerned about their mental health, then they have to give their history in order for us to determine their mental health status. So we'll be we'll be dividing into three categories: pre-stage, early stage, and critical zone. Just to make sure that okay, we can make some recommendations to early users, that some exercises, and for the critical users, we can recommend to visit the nearest their psychologist or psychiatrist. Yeah, so as I talked about the recommendations and what is the architecture that will look like. So here you can see that first we will try to get the user credential, Reddit credentials for to be specific, and we'll verify those credentials. Well, then we'll try to scrape the user history. So we'll try to scrape the user history of the past 3 months if it's available. If it's not, then we'll go for the 6 months. If the user history not available for the past 6 months, then we would rather go for the directly mental health assessment test. So we are just going to integrate that part here. We haven't right now, but this is what our initial plans look like. uh, yeah, so we just scrape the 6 months history, then do some sentiment analysis first, that if the user's history looks distressed or not. And after that, try to uncover the what are the recurring themes in the user history, and then convert those into embeddings and try to do the similarity search. For the similarity search, we can use any metric, cosine similarity or the Euclidean distance. We haven't decided on that, and we can then based on that context similarity search, we'll get the relevant posts that are relevant to the user history. So what we are trying to do is that based on the context similarity search, we'll try to get the similar post, and we'll try to get those labels. So we'll have the labels for the data that we have in our database, the data that we have collected. So from those posts, we'll try to get the labels. What are those labels relevant to this post? And then we'll use the sentiment analysis, topic modeling, and the context similarity search. So the labels that we will have, so based on these three, we'll try to get what is the majority of the topics discussed, and then based on that we'll ask the LLM model to assess the user mental health based on that category which is prevalent in the user history, and try to assess the user's mental health further. so that we get the confirmation whatever we have did here, like whatever we did here is also confirmed by the LLM. So this mental health assessment will be like a double confirmation. So yeah, so LLM asks the question, then we evaluate those answers and try to get the what is the status of the user right now. So from here, from user history, we might have that okay, user is not going through any mental health issue. Then LLM model suggests that okay, user might be going through that. Then we would give some recommendation. So yeah, this is our models, and yeah, so this is our update from team one, and I would love to answer the questions you might have.
Yes, Shantanu, any updates on like data collection or what are the you have been fixed on like mental health
Yeah,
condition and also what were you exactly in terms of pre-processing task, model building task?
yeah. So for the pre-processing, the team has just got the data today. So there are not updates from the pre-processing team, but for the data collection team, I hope my screen is still visible. Is it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So yeah, so this is the JSON file. So the data is scraped from Reddit. So yeah, so here we have the post ID. For that post ID, let's say. So what we are doing is that essentially we want to collect the data for general conversations and mental health specific conversations. So we are collecting the data from the Reddit where the casual conversations happen and where mental health specific conversations happen, and so we so that our model knows that what kind of data collected is uh, like so that we, in the labels we can have the both labels where the mental health specific labels and the general labels. So this is our post IDs title. uh, this is like a post content. Then score is the how many upvotes we got, how many downvote we got, and then comments on those posts. So we have a nested object here, so that like on Reddit you might have like posts, then comments and comments and comments. So reply to this comment, reply to this comment. So we can have the very nested object. So we'll limit that to maybe some number. So we haven't decided on that because the LLMs cannot handle very large context because there is a limitation to I think 8 KB of the context. So I think we'll just try to see what we can do about that. But this is how our data looks like. So there are a lot of active contributors in the data collection team. So they have collected the data, and this is the sample data. Yep, that's it from my side. I think yeah, you are on mute if you're.
Yes, Shantanu, sorry. So what exactly you are building is a chatbot or bot or any Chrome extension?
Yeah, right now it's a chatbot. Maybe what our essentially idea is that it can be also integrated into the Reddit, where users' mental health can be predicted, and but I think that's not that goes against the Reddit's privacy policy. It cannot be integrated into that, but we can build our a separate chatbot. Yeah.
Okay, right, sure. So good, good job. Shantanu.
I have a question.
Okay, yes,
Yes.
Can you
proceed.
guys hear me? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Sure.
Shantanu, I saw the raw data. Um, do you guys have any plan? How do you guys pre-process it? Like to train or to fine tune or even to give it to RAG systems? You need to prepare data in a specific format and you have to decide what are the metadata and what is actual data? What is the plan? You guys have any idea?
Yeah, for the pre-processing, there are some steps involved. Let me walk you through that. So first, we'll clean the data, remove the non-English characters, and we'll work on the only English language. And then we'll try to handle the emojis because emojis also represent a lot of emotions. So and then we'll handle the slang language where people use a lot of time abbreviations to some things, right? So those will be also handled here. And then there will be sentiment analysis, and there will be classification of the text into three zones. So first will be into the before the three categories, before the classification, there will be the classification whether the post is towards the depression, towards the anxiety, towards the which mental health category. And then that mental health category will be either in pre-stage, early stage, or in the critical zone. So these are the three. So this is our data pre-processing pipeline. And into the model building, we are not sure right now that how we'll utilize the RAG. So our model building team is working on that. Maybe you'll have more update on that next week.
Okay. So yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
yes. Yeah, it's fine that you pre-process the data, but I'm concerned about one thing. This Reddit data has a structure, like a post is done by someone, and then there are replays or comments to that post. And in one of the replay, the user again reposts, like with some clarification or something. Uh, a conversation goes on. It's not like a you have a text and you can label it something. It's a conversation by two people, three people, four people. I don't know, uh, depending on the post. How do you guys handle that complexity?
Yes. So for that, as we said that let's say the somebody has posted something and there are comments on that, and we have comments after comments in the nested way. So we'll try to limit the nesting to the 100 post at max. So let's say, yes, so that we can, get we want our model to be able to understand the text, not the nested pattern. So how will we do that is, uh, try to make the model understand between that whatever the post was there and whatever the comments, the following comments are how they are like mental health specific, that let's say whatever the context was there, post context, then comment context, and whatever the users are talking about, so those all will be linked. So right now still I might not have the clear cut idea, but once we go through that, then I think we might be able to come up with something. But right now, I would say I- we don't have the actual, but once we build it, I think we'll try to get the, we'll try to figure it out how we can solve it. Right now, we don't have that clear path right now, but we'll figure it out.
Yes. Okay.
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 I
So we
think
can
you
go ahead.
should.
Yes, Basant, we can have
Yeah,
more questions. Yeah, more questions
uh,
after
no,
having the discussion with all the teams. Okay. So keep your questions written so that we can again come back to you after completing the five teams updates. So we can now start with the team two updates. Yes, team two. Anyone, team two?
Um, just a second, yeah.
Sure, sure, Satvik. Are you sharing screen, Satvik?
Uh, I wouldn't be presenting, yeah, yeah. Hira would be presenting.
Okay.
Just
Uh, Hey guys, this is Varsha from Team 2. Fahira from our team would be presenting from our side, but I think she's facing some issues. So maybe if we can move to next team and in the next one we can take it up.
Okay, okay, sure, sure. So yeah,
I hope
team
that
three.
would be
Go
fine.
ahead. Sure, Varsha. We
Yeah.
can go with the team three updates. Yes, Yanni, you can start.
Right, hello. Right, so I will start the presentation. The way how we have structured this presentation is going to be I will start it, and then some of my colleagues from model building will jump in a call as well at some point, and I'll be presenting our data collection as well. Right, so I am going to start sharing my slides now. Can I just get a feedback whether or not everybody can see it, please? Thank you. So, do you all see my screen now? Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Sure. Okay. Right. So the way how we structure this here is our team updates, active collaboration. We have our design and architecture. We have in these slides contain also data collection, data pre-processing, and model building as well. So the moment this is our data collection team. I am the team lead of our data collection. Our co-lead is Chris, which I believe he's also in the call as well. And these are also our current collaborators as well. We've structured the name as follows here. We also have our data pre-processing team as well. Abhishek is the lead, and the following collaborators there as well. Our model building team, we have Sai, who's been absolutely amazing, and she did absolutely great in order to help our model building team going as well, and our collaborators. So data collection, though, so we have selected multiple sources as the data collection, all related to mental health. We selected multiple data sets containing just data from scraped from different sources, including Reddit as well. We found a lot of data from Reddit. We found a lot of places like from data sets available on Kaggle or Hugging Face as well. Hugging Face has been a great source for finding relevant data for mental health. We have found also repositories from social behavior health, mental health science research data as well from different institutions. It was open available data and also different government platforms as well. We have the way how we decided to go with our data is to be based on questions and responses. So basically, people asking questions regarding their mental health and getting responses. A lot of the data that we found was from medical professionals, but we also found different responses just from general users, mainly on Reddit as well. So for the purposes of this project, that's how we decided to go with. Why we decided to go with questions, because questions provide more structured format in the way how we collecting this data and the way how our model is going to learn from. It provides also the structure allows more better assessment for the user's mental health. And it's also the questions target very specific mental health. So if a person is asking a question whether or not they have anxiety, or this is a very specific question, so we thought this is a good data to use for our project. And also it answers the questions. They also answers the three categories of which we're going with our model. The three categories of severity are as follows. So the person is not at risk, they have a mild symptoms, or they're at severe risk of mental health. At the same time, we're trying to not cross this line with the severe risk and to go in the line of diagnosing as well, because this is something that we're trying to avoid. The way how we are going to present this is our chatbot to output maybe a more empathetic message in a way. If the user is not at risk, maybe our chatbot can recommend something about their mental health, or maybe they can go out have a good walk, or maybe they can have meditation, and this can also overlap with mild symptoms as well if our chatbot takes that. However, for severe risk, we didn't want to diagnose our users. We are going to suggest to maybe find help. We can maybe even suggest sources where they can find help, but we're going to try and avoid the diagnosing. The limitations that we found as well during our data collections is how we can ensure ethical considerations. So when it comes to mental health, it requires a high level of sensitivity, which means that when we talk about mental health, how do we ensure that we don't also diagnose user in something that, and not really diagnose, even suggest something that's not really a mental health. So we have to be careful in sensitivity to align with the ethical guideline, and also data privacy as well. Limitation and also self-reporting as well. So that's an interesting one, because when somebody comes and reports anything, they can either misrepresent their condition, or they can underreport something. So that's something that we need to be careful with as well. And also we have the question of validation and accuracy. So questions used in the model are validated and have strong correlation with the established mental health. So we also need to be careful about how accurate we're going to, what's our suggestion our chatbot is going to give based on a user's symptoms. So for that we need to make sure that we measure this accurately in our model as well. And the next slide is data preprocessing. I am going to pass this to my colleagues who are also on a call from data preprocessing team or model building as well. I'm going to ask them to just please give an indication, please. They can jump in a call as well.
Okay.
Sai, would you be able to jump in, please? Thank you.
Yeah. I'll continue with the data pre-processing. So as we are conducting in the form of a survey, whether to identify whether a person is having some mental health, we'll be generating the data in the format of question and mental issue category and answers for to identify if the person is of risk. I mean, is of having immediate risk, or based on the severity risk, not at all having a risk, or at a mild risk. For example, if you are generating question for anxiety, so question will be something like, are you having trouble relaxing? So if the person is not having any issue, then the answer will be not at all. If he needs help, then that will be the several days. And for risk of high severity, then it will be nearly every day. So we'll be collecting the data in this format, which is helpful for the survey. So next slide, please.
Okay.
Yeah. So
maybe
coming
our
to
other
the
colleague from, sorry, go
yeah,
on, Sai.
coming to the chatbot design and architecture. So here in this, mainly conversation starts with a general question where we'll be asking the user, like, tell me about yourself, oh, how was your day? And user will be giving the answer. Mostly with these general questions, we won't be having, I mean, we can't judge what the person is feeling. So after general question, we'll be picking some random question out of the questions generated for those issues. So we evaluate these responses which is given for this question, and categorize if the user is suffering from any mental health issues like anxiety, depression, or bipolar disorder, etc. And we also rank the responses based on severity, which we have seen previously: risk, not at risk, and mild risk. And based on the answer obtained, we generate relevant questions. That means questions related to identified health issue, or if anything is unidentified, we'll pick up randomly again from the database. And if required, score is also added as a context to the question generator agent to come up with a question and send it to the conversation mediator. So based on the relevant question shared as a context, their relevant answers and category like health issue and the score, that is risk, is shared with the response evaluator and context as a context, and it also comes with a necessary feedback. So this feedback is again shared with the conversation mediator, which gives suggestions to the users. So this is the basic architecture. So if time permits, we are also trying to add some additional things, like once the issue is identified and the response is scored, we'll be generating some similar questions which are of same issue but they're having greater score. Say if the person is detected with mild anxiety, so we'll be putting up same questions of anxiety which are having it, so that we can confirm whether the person is at mild anxiety or he's at a higher risk. And some other additional things, functionalities we would like to add are using some face emotions, or using the speech or voice, detecting the presence of any issues. So these will be added if the time permits. And so for this, implementing the vector store, question generator, and response validator will be using the RAG architecture.
Should I move to the next one? Sorry.
Yeah, that's the RAG architecture. So I think,
Okay.
yeah, that's all from our side.
We can also hear from other colleague from other building team as well. They can also jump in as well and give their explanation here as well.
Yeah, this is the RAG architecture for generating the questions. Questions and responses. As I've previously said, here we'll be passing the context of health issue and some questions to the database and generate the relevant questions and pass it to question generator. And the relevant answers are passed to response evaluator.
Okay.
Okay.
Shall we move to the next one?
Yes.
I think that's, yeah.
Okay. So this is our model building here. So, do you know if a baby is also on a call here?
So these are the we have divided the model building task into this 4 subtasks, where some people will be added to each of the tasks. So one is conversation mediator code along with speech to text, text to speech, and the other is question generator, response evaluator agent, and database. So we have divided our task into these 4 subtasks. Yeah, I think that's all from my side. Any
Okay.
questions?
So the question is like where you will be implementing RLHF.
Okay, we are using RAG for now.
Okay.
If time permits, we are thinking to use LLM powered agents also.
No, reinforcement learning into a model. The agents are building already. Yes, I see.
Yeah.
So in terms of difficulty, what are yes. Yes, Sai Vinita.
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
Yeah, I mean to say for 3, 4, 5 teams, we are looking for reinforcement uh, algorithm to be implemented into their model. Or
Yeah.
else, yes.
Yeah, for
Or
now
else,
we have added RAG-based architecture. If time permits, we'll be adding some more additional functionalities. As the
okay. Any
time is
reasoning
also.
based, any reasoning based logic, because the LLM is all about neural network model, right? So that is some
Yeah.
kind of connection, you know. So any reasoning based model have we thought of, like any? So reasoning based model is,
They were saying React agents, React, right?
yeah, we need to understand the user, right?
Yeah.
By with the user reaction for those questions.
Yeah, we are planning to add those also, but this is the initial architecture which we have developed.
Okay, sure. Yes, Basan.
Again, the same question. I like to ask the same team, what is the format of the data you guys are planning?
Sorry,
Sorry,
Basit, I didn't get you.
could you
What is the
repeat back?
format of the data? The format of the data. See, model needs a specific format of the data to create the RAG structure or whatever the structure you guys are trying. So what is the format you guys have decided? Like, what should be the input, and is it a labeled data, unlabeled data, or what is the process of labeling it? And then if you are dealing with specific type of underlying mental health, how do you decide the specific health of a underlying mental health is in this text? It is not there, uh, because that is the major part. Building a RAG model doesn't take much time, but feeding the right information to the system is very important, because otherwise you will end up with wrong answers or wrong results. So if you feed garbage in, it will give you garbage out. That's the idea, common sense. So the main thing is, how do you pre-process your data and how do you really make it? Because data does not has to be biased. It has to be balanced to a certain extent. Because if you provide more of the examples which are not having any signs, so the model will assume that most of the conversation is not having any issues. So how do the structure and tone of the text separates those two contexts is very important. That's
We
why
have
I'm very
discussed
much,
with, sorry,
yeah,
Vasant.
good. Yeah,
We
good,
have
good.
discussed with our team to use label data on that. So basically to help our model understand whether or not the user have depression or not depression. That's one of the things we discussed. Before that, we discussed the usage of sentiment analysis as well, in order to help our model understand as well the user emotional tone in specific of that. Um, like we're still in the process of trying to make our model even easier to follow. Right now, we're still trying to like add more things to our model. Our data pre-processing team also giving different suggestions, but for now we're trying to use the data that we found is label data, which will help our model understand more. And just to try and answer your
See,
question.
one thing I don't understand most of the time, how the sentiment analysis will give us the idea of the underlying mental health. Like sentiment, it can give you positive, negative, or sad, good, happy. That sentiment
Yes.
can be more generic, not at the level of a diagnosis level.
Yes, I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
first that's why we decided. No, we didn't decide first. It was proposed to maybe go with sentiment analysis in order to understand how the user feels, so our model can try and understand that. But for now, we're not going to go with sentiment analysis. That was an initial proposal maybe from the first week. From now, we just go with the RAC approach and label data based on different mental health.
So I said, right, you need to have a structured guidelines for every of
Mhm.
the mental health problem. It may be anxiety, depression, or bipolar disorder. So in terms of medical health, what is that actually underlying disease all about? So when you train that with your model, right? So it able to understand what is anxiety, what is depression. Whenever you see a piece of text or piece of input given by user, you're able to solve the user better. Also see how anxiety, depression, or any mental health problem will be having any mental health conditions or health conditions after some time to the user. Any disease, it may be stress lead to diabetics or sugar or BP or any kind of health problems that may occur. So you can also add those precautionary details related to it. So we don't take any more. You can just write down your questions. We will take questions after all the updates from meetings, team updates. Okay.
I
So
would
yes,
like to answer,
yes,
sorry for
sure.
yeah,
Okay.
Basan's question. So, initially, I have an idea like what I've thought is like we'll provide label data. So for anxiety, we have specific terms like a person is feeling anxious or it's feeling nervous, or if a person is worrying. So we'll provide label data with the data having these keywords for each condition. Like for anxiety, we have four to five or 10 to 12, whatever the team decides. Like if the person is feeling restless, and for depression, maybe like a person is not showing up interest in learning new things or doing things. And similarly for or if a person is feeling bad about himself, or is feeling like if he wants to hurt himself or having suicidal tendencies. And similarly for ADHD also, uh, we have certain conditions, and we can push that data, like we can take that as an initial data set for all these three conditions, and we can train the model on this data. So when the user enters the answers to the questions that the chatbot is asking, we'll use similarity search, and based on that the model can predict whether what the user's answers or the to the questions that the chatbot has asked is more relevant to depression or anxiety or on ADHD. I think I'm able to
I'll
answer
just
this question.
Okay, yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. See, that's what my say. Uh,
Mhm.
Everything is right now we are entering in the realm of linguistic. Linguistic in the sense the text where the human expresses certain keywords at a certain conditions. Like I'm not feeling very much interested. So this is very, very nice sentence to indicate that he has some kind of a depression. Then the bot should try to examine more in that direction. So bot should get a feedback directly to generate the next question to go in this direction and get more verification on that. So yeah, whatever you guys are going, it's the right thing. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, we can now go with the team 4 updates. Yes, team 4.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, hi, I can hear.
Okay, unfortunately, we haven't have any presentation. So can we talk about our progress related to the project? I don't have any presentation.
Okay, okay, you should be having a minimum presentation to. Okay, sure, you can.
Okay. Okay. Our project is related to the analysis of social addiction, cyberbullying, and social isolation. Okay. Our final delivery would be in the format of the questionnaire. It won't be like a chatbot system. It will be like a questionnaire where we will ask the questions from the user that what kind of like how many hours you spend on the social media, do you face any cyberbullying or harassment in the social media platforms related to that questions to the user. And after having the answers from the user, we will provide those answers to the LLM model, and LLM model will provide any response or recommendation on the basis of those answers that you have this problem related to social media, and you can tackle this problem by you doing these methods. For example, medication or any other solutions the model will provide to the user, right? In this model, we will have like a in questionnaire, we will have two sections. First one is data collection. We will collect the data from the user, that the what is the age of the user, how much I can say what
Sorry
is
to
the name
interrupt
of the
you,
user.
Aksa. If you have the architecture, share the screen and show the architecture. And
We do, I don't have the architecture in the full format right now because we discussed it before the meeting. So I don't have, but if yeah, I will share it in the next meeting. Okay. So yeah, can I continue?
yes,
Okay.
continue.
So okay. In data collection part, we will divide the data into format. For example, first we actually get the data from the user, right? The information about the user, and second part is the information about the user use social media, right? On the basis of those questions, from the user basis questions and from the questions actually related to social media, we actually provide those answers to the model, and the LLM model, and LLM model will provide the response. On that response, we will have another question from the user that this response is helpful for you or not, or feedback from the user, and that feedback will again go to the LLM model, and that LLM model we retrain it if it is doesn't provide the solution to the user, right? We are actually facing the integrating the reinforcement learning also, because we are actually getting the feedback from the user, and that feedback is actually work as a reinforcement learning that will actually retrain the model again and again on the basis of the answers from the users, right? These questions in the starting, these questions were simple, it will be like how many hours you spend on the social media and these simple questions. But afterwards we will create the complicated questions related to the social media, and that format we will again see that are actually models that we created on the simple questions actually give the answers on complicated questions or not. If this will give us the answer on the complicated questions, because we are already applying the reinforcement learning, it should provide the answer to the complicated questions also. So yeah, these are architecture right now for the project. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, so within reinforcement learning, you need to see what exactly you are trying to use, like Q learning or any other, right? So you need to find the
Exactly.
state,
Exactly.
initial state of the user, final state of the user, see how it's
Exactly.
try to behave with environment, right? And its actions and
Exactly.
policies you need to determine. So from next meeting onwards, hopefully you will be sharing your complete
Yeah. Yeah.
presentation.
Sure.
We expect you
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
share presentation in detail so that we can measure you are actively working. So if you are not sharing any presentation, we does not count it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
We will provide the presentation in the next meeting. Yeah.
Yes,
For sure.
sure, no problem. Sure. So we can go ahead with the final team 5. Sure. Yes, Kishore, go ahead.
Hey, good morning, good evening, everyone. I know we have team is located across multiple time zones. So I would say, this week team has, let me actually, 1 second. So Ankita or Sayak, can you go ahead and share the presentation? In the meantime, I'll just give a quick brief rundown, and then we can have the team folks from the team present. So this week, I would say team made a good progress. And again, we have 4 tracks going on. One is data collection, data pre-processing, and model building, and also the UI UX, which is an LLM chatbot UI. So the third and fourth tracks are actually closely, even though separate tracks, but both are closely working together, tightly coupled. So with that, I would, can you move to the agenda slide, please, Ankita? Again, thanks for facilitating this, appreciate it. So basically, we'll talk about, team has done researched multiple data sources and what data sets that have collected multiple data sets, which we'll talk about in the subsequent slides. And also we'll be talking about what challenges we faced and how we overcome some of those challenges, and what the next steps, what is focused on the next week or two. So we'll be talking about from next steps perspective. And then I know this week's focus is more around data collection pre-processing, but we will also touch upon overall architecture. That's where we'll talk about model building as well as LLM UI and chatbot architecture. And then lastly, we want to when I recognize all the folks that you have contributed this week. And last week, definitely teams have made a good progress. So with that, I would ask Sayak, if you're there, can you go ahead and go to the can you go to the next slide, please? And then we will talk about Sayak will talk about the data collection pre-processing. So just a reminder for team 5, we initially selected 4 mental health conditions, but we did a poll voting within the team, and also based on the data set analysis, I think we kind of narrowed down. We wanted to focus on depression for our primary focus, like focus on depression and deliver end to end. all the way from data collection to the chat bar UI. I think I really like the suggestion from Basant last week. So this will help us deliver a working solution, and then we can always, if time permits, we can always expand to the other additional mental health outcomes. Okay, with that, can you move to the next slide, Ankita, and Sayak, you can take over and walk us through the data collection and pre-processing and the challenges that we faced and how we overcome it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, hi guys. My name is Sayak. I'm from Team 5, and I will be presenting our data collection and pre-processing work from this week. So basically, there are two kinds of data that we have collected. Obviously, primary data, secondary data. Primary data is stuff that we have scraped by ourselves from various public websites such as Quora, Facebook, Reddit, Twitter. And secondary data is from your already existing data sets from Kaggle or something collected from research papers. And we actually collected a bunch of different kinds of data which we want to talk about. Of course, there is conversational data, which is mostly, in the question answer kind of form. There is classification data without features. I will get into the details of this when I go to the next slides. Also recommendation strategies, also some focus on cyberbullying, also some different kind of classification data with some other features as well. So as we move forward, Ankita, we can move to the next slide. We'll talk more into depth into each of these data sets. Yeah. So first of all, conversational data, we have a lot of question answer pairs, which were cleaned and worked on. These are basically questions from verified sources. And they are typical questions like you can see, what does it mean to have a mental illness? Who does mental illness affect? And there are quite comprehensive answers for all of this. Um, this is uh, one of the many data sets that we have for this. If we move forward then, Ankita, you can see for this data set, there are some insights that we have generated. Yeah, so as you can see, there are 98 such question answer pairs. Most of it talks about anxiety, depression, stress. Um, some important keywords being lots of questions about finding the right kind of help or looking for the right kind of medication or information regarding these topics. Yeah, so you can see it's a very relevant data set for our eventual task. So moving forward, Ankita. Yeah, so another very interesting data set. These are um, basically talks between counselor and someone asking questions. So again, a lot of different unique questions here. Some of them being like the most viewed questions. For example, you can see, do I have too many issues for counseling? Can I change my feeling of being worthless to everyone? So these are, of course, people who are suffering from some level of depression. Also, most answered questions, you have actually many answers for each of these questions, which can give you a lot of different sources of giving right answers. So again, you can see, how would I know if I have the right therapists? Things like this, which are quite relevant to our data. Okay, moving forward. I think the last couple of sets of our conversational data. One is again this interesting human and therapist kind of couples. What are symptoms of panic attack versus anxiety attack? Things like this, right? And also comprehensive answers. You can see they may feel similar, but they have you can have them together. Things like this, which are giving a good perspective to our model eventually. Also, then some other data which was scrapped from Facebook by hand, which required quite a bit of cleaning. I might add. We
Sayak, you're not audible.
Yes, Sayaka, we can't hear you.
I think
Maybe a
Ankita is
techno.
he's muted. I'm unmute him.
Oh, oh, 1 second. Was he muted? 1 second. The list is rather huge, just trying to get to so we can unmute him. I think he's leaving. Maybe maybe he's going to join us back. So I guess
Okay, let's
yeah, I guess
continue.
maybe yeah, I guess maybe Liz, are you okay to take over? And when he joins, he can continue.
That's fine, Krishna.
Yeah.
So hello everyone. I'll just pick it up from where Kayak left it. So we also had the 100 question and answer pairs that was script from Facebook, cleaned it by hand. We just did a bit of a word cloud visualization just to see what's coming out mostly. You can see here, things like treatment, comes out quite strongly there, medication, sleep. So generally data that is I'll say associated with depression. Next slide. So we also had a couple more, I'll say, insights that we used or that we got from the data. So we looked at sentiments, just trying to figure out, from the different posts we have, what are the various frequencies. So do different sentences give a neutral feel or tone? Do they have a positive sentiment or negative sentiment? So this will be really crucial or really helpful to be able to build or to feed into the model to be able to identify neutral statements, negative and positive statements. Next slide. Let's move on to text classifications. As you mentioned, as Sayak mentioned earlier, we have both conversational data and text classification. So we had one so we have a majority of our data that doesn't have features. So these are, I'll say, data scraped from Reddit that we got from Kaggle. So we have 20,000 rows of text, which is I'll say balanced. So there are a couple that have classification. You can see Sayak is back. Perhaps you could just.
Yeah, I see Saik is back. Saik, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. My net dropped.
No
Sorry.
problem. No
Shall I
problem.
take over then? Shall I
Not a
continue?
pro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead, Sayak.
Okay. So text classification data without features. I think Elizabeth was just talking about it. So we have data scrape from Reddit, around 20,000 rows of it, which was balanced. So we did not need to do any need to correct the imbalance in the data. Which for the Twitter data actually we needed to do. But for the text classification data we had from the Reddit, it was mostly as depressed and non-depressed, whereas the one we got from Kaggle had this sort of sentiments from negative, positive, and neutral, which again in the model building team guys will talk about how they plan to implement this different sort of data set. It was a back and forth, and we decided that this kind of data set was also required for them, right? And this last part data was just cleaned up today, which is the text classification data from Twitter. Um, yeah, I think then we can move to the next slide. Yeah, so then you can see the total more or less statistics of this data set. Around 597 posts. This is the Reddit data, by the way, which are being worked on. The average length of these posts are around 194 posts per word. And you can see a lot of the keywords in this word cloud. I really like these kind of word clouds because they give you a good idea of what's present in the data. So you can see that a lot of questions about depression, life, feelings, and these are all really important kind of intuition building steps towards our LLM. Yeah, we can move forward. So the last one of the last data sets that we have is on cyberbullying, victimization, depression, anxiety, and stress. This is actually from a university survey that was done around 560 samples. And this, I think, will give a lot of in-depth idea to the model because these are very particular cases. And this we are currently working on. There is some still more pre-processing required and some more research going on with this. Uh, so I think we can move forward. Um, There are some visuals for this data set, this cyberbullying data set. You can see that this has data on how many hours are being spent on social media, also some nice gender breakdowns, and also basically you can see there is an imbalance in this kind of depression levels, which we are trying to address and trying to upsample using some sort of synthesis methods. Yeah. So yeah, moving forward. Yeah, so these are also something that the model building team will, I think, pick up. Hopefully, these are recommendation strategies PDFs, which were particularly asked for. These are actually by this American Psychiatric Association, so they are officially, recommended kind of strategies when someone is going through specific cases. And you can see that there are this sort of two different articles that we are implementing. This parents guide about how we can guide when someone we know is going through this kind of a case, and also some journals which have specific like answers to specific questions, and not slightly more general ones we looked at before, right? Okay, so we can move forward. So all of these data sets were worked upon throughout the week, and my pre-processing team, I'm very proud of them. We all worked together, and lots of cleaning done, like the usual stuff, removing unnecessary columns. Lot of cleaning because scraped data is always like really dirty. A lot of acronyms were opened up. Lot of small emojis were removed, stuff like that. Just lowercasing them to make them format into the right format, removing special characters, ensuring uniqueness, removing multiple duplicates, and missing values were handled. So these were the steps that were taken from pre-processing side. Um, and moving forward, we'll talk slice for a small amount of time regarding the challenges we faced regarding this data set. So as you know, social media data set is always tricky, right? Because you have these kind of informal way of speaking. So you have lots of acronyms, offensive language, things which need to be pre-processed for the model to better understand what is actually going on. So the solution was to use this regex library, more or less, to clean up along with some pandas expertise. Um, the second problem was authenticity and reliability of answers, right? Because sometimes on social media, a lot of these answers are not from verified professionals, which is why we went back and went through these human therapist couples and other data sets which are from reputable mental health websites, and this enhances the credibility of our LLM moving forward. So I think with this, I will hand over the control to Krishna. Kishore?
Yeah. So yeah, before Debanjan and Fanindra are going to talk about the next slide, so just just one or two quick call outs. Is again the tools team, the skill set the team used is primarily Python and Pandas for cleaning. But again, just as a tip for the folks on the call, right? So we also used a ChatGPT data analysis feature too, where you can import the data set and have it to do some statistics and or give some insight. So it's also very helpful that way. You don't have to spend time writing the code as well. So we kind of when the team is doing Python Panda analysis, we have few other resources also parallelly using ChatGPT kind of learn the data set insights, so to help augment the knowledge to fast track the effort. So with that, I would ask, I think it's Debanjan, right? You are planning to present this slide?
Correct.
Okay, go ahead, Debanjan.
Ankita, can you move to version, the next slide? Yeah, so this is our overall architecture. Okay, let me explain the components and the flows. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So the main components are the orchestrator, the retriever, the generator. Okay, the orchestrator contains the UI, the pipeline, the NLP model, and the prompt templates. The retriever contains the embedding model on the vector database, and the generator contains the decoder only model. Now let's explain the flows. Okay, first is the conversation flow. Okay, we break down this conversation thread into two parts. That is, one is shallow conversation, and next one is deep conversation. Okay. So shallow conversation is like more like a small talk. Okay, how are you? How's your day going? Things, okay. Then chatbot. will ask very specific questions about mental health or social media in deep conversation stage. Okay. And then after end of the thread, we will summarize and use our NLP model to classify to few classes. Okay. Then we'll return some recommendations to the user, like what he needs to do right now, whether he needs any therapist or psychologist or any kind of help in recommendation. And in identification result, will give the user in a JSON kind of format, like the classes that I mentioned in NLP. Okay, the classes will be is depressed, the depression severity scale, sentiment of overall conversation, any other pattern extracted by the NLP. So this is our constant flow. Next is the retriever flow. Retriever flow contains creating the two flows, indexing flow and query flow. Okay, first is indexing flow. Indexing flow is creating the indexes where we have PDF data to small chunks to embedding vectors. Okay, we'll go like this from PDF data. We'll create the small chunks and then we'll embed them with the embedding model and stored in a vector database. Okay. So I think Shaq mentioned about recommendation. Sorry, Shaq mentioned about class classification. Hello, I'm audible.
Yeah, we can hear you, Debanjan. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah,
please continue.
Yeah, so Shaq mentioned about, I think, the recommendation data or text classification data. Okay, so here we can put this thing in vector DB. Okay, it can be a tabular format or it can be a unstructured format. Okay. Next is I think the querying flow. So in querying flow, we'll get the query and then we'll calculate the similarity matching and then we'll return back the retrieve context. Okay. Last is our training flow. Okay, it goes like first we'll take any base LLM that can be chat tuned or instruction tuned. There. Okay, with the help of the conversation data, Shaq mentioned. Okay. Okay, yeah. So first we'll fine tune with SFT trainer, and then we'll align more with the DPU trainer. Okay. And we also have, I think, NLP models. We'll also train them like usual. Okay. So the advanced stages, I think Yahya mentioned about last week about the RLHF and all the things. So we are using the DPU instead of RLHF, and we also trying to plug multiple agents, and also we'll try to plug the text to speech and speech to text models as well. Yeah, these are the things. I think next, I think funny.
Yeah, thank you, Devanjan. Hi guys, I'm Pranindra, and I'll be explaining regarding the next steps that we are planning ahead in the model building part and UI UX designing part. So yeah, coming to the model building part, once all the data is collected and all, we will be starting working on the LLM. In the first place, we have done a good research on all the frameworks that we are going to plan to work on this particular next steps. Starting with the LLM, we have figured out few open source LLMs. From them, we have finalized Llama 2 model that we can start working on. And after the LLM model, we can fine tune the LLMs based with a few methods so that we can train the model based on our set of data that we just collected. And after that, once the data is done, we will be segregating this particular collected data into the vector database so that the data can be retrieved from the user whenever we are getting the query from the user. We'll be getting the relative context and then from the vector database and then passing it to the LLM and working in a flow. And coming to the RAG model, we'll be implementing everything inside this particular process. And yeah, later we'll be working on the testing and validation part. And coming to UI UX designing, UI UX part. So the basic interface of the chatbot will be working on Streamlit or Flask. These are and Gradio. These are our most top preferences that we got. So based on the effectiveness of the framework, we will be going forward. And coming to the text to speech, we have Distilled Whisper, which is a good framework that we found out there that will be effective to interact with the user. And after that, the very next layer of the user interface is the NLU framework, that is RASA chatbot framework that we are using. This framework contains NLP and NLU. It's kind of understands the user effectively instead of getting some set of giving set of questions to the user and getting the answers just as a questionnaire. It's not like that. So RASA will be using NLU to understand the user effectively based on the story sentence and training model that we will be working on it. And after that, we will be using LangChain for storing the chat history, the entire chat of the user, to analyze the user progressively in each and every step. That's like statefulness of the entire conversation. And based on that, we will be getting the context, and then we will be moving forward. And we can also integrate LLM in the RASA framework as well, which will elevate the level of communication with the user. As the LLM is already trained with almost 7 billion conversations previously, the open source LLMs. So this will make the conversation more effective to extract the meaningful insights and then pass on to the vector database and get the relevant context and give a meaningful conversation based on them. And along with that, we have additional tasks that we are planning to work on. That is the feedback loop, as you suggested before, the reinforcement learning and all. And the user demographics was the idea suggested by Miriam in our team. So this basically is like whenever we are when we have a good conversation with the user, we will be collecting the basic information like what is the time spent on each social media, or what is the age group and basic criteria from the user, and then we'll be trying to create a demographics based on the user database. So this way we can analyze, it's like a small research kind of thing, based on which what age group of people are facing this particular issue, and what a male or female, which gender is facing several kinds of issues, different types of issues they are facing. So the demographics will be definitely useful to analyze the overall user. And then the parameter tuning and all these are the things that we are planning to work ahead in the next week. And coming to the final deployment stage, we have Hugging Face. We are planning to deploy the entire model on Hugging Face. There they are providing like basic structure to host it freely. And yeah, that will be all from my end, the basic structure that we are going to plan ahead in the next week.
Okay, thank you, Fanindra. Thank you, Debanjan. Yeah, Ankita, can you go to the last slide, please? Yeah, this is just we wanted to take a moment to recognize everybody who has been contributing to these 4 tracks in the last 2 weeks. So wanted to emphasize that there have been we operating, making sure the 3 principles, the trust in the team, collaboration, and respect. We want to make sure everybody is working with a positive intent, and everybody's inputs are valued and respected and discussed. So based on that, but we have seen significant collaboration from one track. Folks are helping the other track, trying to fast track the effort. Wherever folks are needing, they're kind of collaborating it. So I think the kind of team has kind of established a model where they're working collaboratively. So it's again, thank you guys. You guys have pulled this through so far. So again, let's continue the momentum, I would say. So with that, I guess, Ankita, is this the last slide or anything else? Just go to, yeah, okay, that kind of concludes the presentation. So again, open for any questions and any feedback, and any if we feel like we are going in a different direction, feedback is always welcome.
Yes, Kishore. So, what technique you are used in RAG? Like has mentioned, you have used similarity search and semantic search, right?
Yes, that's the intention. Yeah, planning to use a semantic search and to retrieve the context from the database.
Okay. Any thoughts of like graph search using?
Yeah, we haven't yet. Yeah, we haven't considered actually the graph search. Uh, maybe since you brought it up, we can see as we further understand the data and dependencies in the data and maybe accuracy. If we feel like maybe semantic search is not giving the results and from a retrieval standpoint, then if we need to bring a graphical database and graph-based query, then I guess maybe we will maybe implant, maybe we could consider that. But yeah, initially we were thinking semantic search, but I think you brought a good point here. See if based on accuracy, maybe see if we can plan to implement graph so that to reduce hallucinations.
Yes, and also like what the algorithm will be using in reinforcement learning.
Yeah, maybe
Just
Debanjan, yeah, anybody from that model building um, LLM UI track, you guys want to talk about that?
Yeah, for model alignment, use a DPO. And for feedback loop, we haven't decided. New learning also.
so Dipanjan, you are not audible properly. So
yeah,
Hello,
you're yeah. Go ahead, Debanjan. Yeah.
Yeah. So for model alignment after fine tuning, we'll use the DPO trainer. Okay. And for feedback loop, we haven't decided.
okay, sure.
So
So we
I
can
know.
go to,
So here you were saying a graph. So from your perspective, have you seen where graph is giving better in this use case? I'm sure it is use case by use case basis. Is graph is better than semantic based on your experience, or any direction there?
yeah, yes, graph is better than semantic. So like you have cosine similarity one level, uh, Euclidean distance, right? Like it is some kind of accuracy level we are going like. So with
Okay.
more accuracy, you can get graph search. You can say semantic search may be giving 90% or 92% kind of accurate retrieving in terms of the given search.
Yeah. I have implemented both in my previous use case. You were right; it all depends on accuracy and etc. But I know graph is more kind of computational intensive, and because it has to traverse. But you're right; since now one thing I've seen is that between LLMs and between NLP, semantic search versus graph. Semantic search doesn't know the from A to B to C, that kind of logical inference, which is graph can address that problem, right? So yeah, we will keep that in our, when we will get to the implementation phase, we will keep that aspect as well.
Yes, sure. Thank you. So now we can go back to team 2. Yes, team 2. Go ahead, your updates. Satvik. Team 2. Yes, Satvik. Okay. Anyone from team 2?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, Megha this side. Actually, yeah, I'm speaking behalf of team two. Actually, Faira and Narayan. So they are having some technical issues. So I'm just going to present what we have collected till now, and after that, Satvik and Lakshita may be going to present other things. So just let me share my screen once. Yeah, so is this my screen visible to you?
Yes,
Hello?
Meghna.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So at the beginning of last week, so our leads and collaborator decided on the data set, which we will be working on throughout this project. And we have selected depression as our domain. So the data sources is from Twitter and Facebook. And also later we had few volunteers from our team to design the chatbot flow diagram, and our lead Narayan consolidated our ideas into one final chart and shared with us all in Lucid Chat. So here is the basic flow chart we have. So we are going to collect data from the Twitter data, then we are going to processing it to text cleaning, tokenization, stop word removal, stemming, and etc. Then it's going to embeds and then vector database, and then we are going to this analysis and response generation phase. Uh, and after that, we are going to use the RAG and LLMs, and after that we're going to respond through the chatbot. So this is just a basic. I didn't go through like deep into it the part has been taken by someone else, but due to some issues, I'm just explaining it. And after that, we have also parallelly working on data processing, such as extraction the text data from the database, then punctuation removal, spelling correction, stop words removal, stemming, lemmatization, then emojis and the we are going to we are thinking to remove the emojis, but we gonna decide if we can convert the emojis to text or to remove them. It's yet to finalize. And so yeah, and then we are also looking to include governing laws and principles that AI is going to follow to ensure safety. For instance, how should the bot respond when someone asks or for tips or harming themselves or someone else? And then our team member Lakshita also developed one a basic UI in Bootstrap, and also she given us the access to for GitHub link to work on for more improvement, which our team members are actively working on. And finally, the chatbot flow diagram is that we have collected a text document from Twitter already, and then we are going to perform text division in text chunks, and then later we will be embedding into vector using OpenAI or Hugging Face embedding, which is responsible to convert this text chunks into vectors. Uh, Also, further, vector will be stored in vector search DB, in which we will be using Pinecone or ChromaDB. As soon as there is a user input query, then we will perform data retrieval using RAGs methods. And after retrieving the relevant chunks, we will perform prompt engineering to feed LLMs, and it generates the appropriate response. So these things I have to represent, and I will just request Satvik or Lakshita, anyone, if I believe they are in the meeting and going to show the next phase.
Okay, yes, Satvik. Okay.
No, sure. They were planning to present something, but hello, Satvik,
Hello,
are you
am I
there?
audible?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, you're audible.
Yes, so I'll be just sharing my screen to show the UI that we have been working on.
Sure. Go ahead.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, Lakshita.
Yeah, so this is just a basic UI. We have designed the site content so that we can ask the initial questions to the user, and then afterwards, this is the bot, and then obviously this is the user. That is what we have done so far.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so now open questions. As Basant asking for team one. Yes, Basant, you have any questions for any team? Okay. Yes, Basant.
I have a question with the previous
Yes.
presentation where they have mentioned that they will be using Llama 2. Why Llama 2?
Okay, you mean team five, right?
Yeah, Team 5. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, Kishore.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi Basant. So actually we have done some research on the open source LLMs that are available right now. When it comes to OpenAI, we it's like a paid version of something, and it's a pretty good LLM. It is available, but it's a kind of paid version. So when next to OpenAI, we found that Llama 2 is a better one. There we have multiple things that we have access to, including the Hugging Face and all, which is trained on 7 billion parameters. It's the research that we have done till now. We haven't implemented it yet, but yeah, it is the best model that we found after OpenAI.
What I mean to say is not the paid version. There are several
Mm.
open source models like Mistral, Llama, Vicuna,
Yeah,
Dolphin. There are plenty of them. Um, because those all models like Mistral is built on Llama 2 only. It's not from the scratch. They took uh, some of the trained version of the Llama and then they fine-tuned it, further fine-tuned it and optimized it.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
I think you guys should go towards Mistral uh, based upon the benchmark. Go to the leaderboard, benchmark leaderboard, LLM leaderboard,
mm,
and check one which is
Are
having a
you
very good
referring to?
reasoning and logic or linguistic based better score.
sure, sure,
Because
definitely,
all
Basant.
all of them all of them at 7B they fail very terribly at reasoning. I know at
Okay,
7B.
okay. Yeah,
Okay.
we have gone through the Mistral as well, but Llama 2 as it is the base version of all of them. So we plan to go with that after fine tuning and all with the current database that we have. We have planned in that way, but yeah, we'll definitely look into Mistral as well, as far as how good it is while working on it. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, but when you want to fine tune it, do you want to fine
Mm.
tune it the quantized version or non-quantized version?
Yeah, the contest version that we are planning for actually.
Okay. Try everything. I don't say that I don't want to bias you guys. This is your playground. You
Yeah,
play by your rules. I'm just curious to know why you guys selected the specific model. What was the core reason behind it? Don't get biased with my thoughts and my this one.
no,
Go
nothing like
based
that.
on your intuition and see what happens. Because I'm also not. I'm also not going to get to know unless and until I try it and I see it because I have not trained on this data set, a specific model. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't suggest you to go on my bias. Okay, yeah, try
yeah,
your thing.
nothing. Yeah, thank you for the session. We'll just definitely look at it.
Yeah,
Yes, as said by Basan, you all, each team, right? All the teams can add this relevant details into your presentation. So, what all the LLMs you are using, add the benchmark details, performance, and why you are using it. So, if you are using directly an LLM, so you should also describe what exactly the reason behind the usage of that particular LLM you are using. So, any other question? Yes, Ahmed.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good. So I'm Ahmed from Team 3. I have a general question regarding handling user input data and chat history. As I understand, we don't know how users will interact with the chatbot on the final system. So how are we going to handle in sensitive data or PIIs or personal identifiable information. What if they type or give the chatbot some personal data? So I think we have to have clear idea about how we can handle such cases. The other thing that I also wanted to mention is that, as we know, some mental health disorders have similar symptoms. That's why professional trained psychologists or psychiatrists use a thing called differential diagnosis. I know the chatbot will not diagnose, but I think we also have to have that in mind. That idea when we are using, for example, specific words to classify or categorize different mental health conditions, we might have one word or a specific, for example, description that is related to to multiple mental health problems or disorders. So that's also something that we have to think about.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Your question was right. So any more questions? We have been exceeded our meeting length with more than 30 minutes. Yes, Mariam.
Hello. I just have a question. Can you please suggest any free access or open source evaluation frameworks that we can use to evaluate the LLM in terms of performance and also in terms of ethical considerations?
Okay. Yes, Basant, anything you want to suggest here?
Um, you guys can go with a primitive kind of a evaluation, like semantic, like you have a ground truth and you have a generated answer from the LLM. You can go with the semantic kind of a similarity search or semantic, whether the meaning is remains same. That is the simple way. The others is like open source recently released few LLM evaluation what is that, libraries. You guys can use them, but beware that they are attached to the OpenAI. Like they have done it, and they have even made it automated. Like you just like LLM acts as a judge of whatever the output generated by another LLM. So whether it's good or bad, something, whatever it does. So yeah, this is my understanding. There are no best way to evaluate them. The accuracy is very good, like again ground truth and your generated accuracy. Accuracy is always sometimes does bad. This one semantic is very good to go, and then use the OpenAI LLM framework if possible. Yeah.
And any idea, suggestions, Basant, for AI ethics and responsible AI?
AI and responsibility and ethics. Have not seen, or I have not even thought in that direction, because till now I did not work with anything which is more this one. But you guys can do it when LLM prompting. You guys can make because this is a, if you are going for a RAG structure, um, there is a prompt design where you can give the in the prompt that LLM should not generate any toxic or any irrelevant and any these negative kinds of a thing. Make sure that it doesn't generate. You can what is that? Mm, make the LLM not to do that those things. That one way you can avoid the this one. And data ethics and all those things really is out of my scope. Only I can say that LLM cannot do this one and that one. So we don't have here much control over the things, especially in that direction, except directing the LLM not to do these things. Otherwise, you have to do human annotation and then make sure that LLM doesn't do that one. That's a very uh, what is that hard job to do. Yeah, I think for this project, given the time frame, these things really work well. It's my view. If you guys have any other thing or any of the team member knows better than me, please, all are here. I'm welcome them to give a suggestion and we all adapt it. Thank you.
Yes, yes. So this is a collaborative project where you are learning, implementing, and discussing. So everyone is learning here. So there is no need to shy, right? So if you learn something new, and you can discuss with your team members, schedule meetings and all. So we have only 2 weeks of time to complete the project. Final week is all about getting demo and code repo, right, in terms of refactoring code, project report, and presentation. So we have only 2 weeks of time. So I expect you will be having a demo model by next weekly meeting. So hope you all have a great week. So with more updates, we'll be waiting for the next week. Till then, thank you all for joining and have a great day. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.